Have you ever watched a legendary brand commit suicide in real time? Because that's exactly what we're witnessing with Jaguar right now. Jaguar just killed their entire lineup of cars. The F-Type, gone. The XF, discontinued. The E-Pace, F-Pace, I-Pace, all dead. And they've replaced them with this. A car so disconnected from Jaguar's heritage that even Elon Musk publicly mocked them, asking, "Do you sell cars?" And he's right to question it, because this isn't a Jaguar. This is a betrayal of everything the brand has stood for over the last century. I've been studying automotive design for over a decade, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, Jaguar has just destroyed their own brand. And the worst part? They're doing it deliberately. That's right. Jaguar's own leadership is proud that people hate their new direction. They're celebrating the backlash. But here's what they don't want you to know. This isn't bold innovation. It's not disruption. It's a desperate last-ditch effort from a failing company that's lost its way and is now throwing away a century of design heritage in a misguided attempt to stay relevant. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how Jaguar went from creating the most beautiful cars in the world, cars so stunning that Enzo Ferrari himself called the E-Type the most beautiful car ever made, to whatever this refrigerator on wheels is supposed to be. I'll reveal the shocking sales numbers that led to this decision, expose the corporate chaos behind the scenes, and show you why this rebrand isn't just a new direction. It's the final nail in Jaguar's coffin. And if you think I'm being dramatic, just wait until you see what their own loyal customers are saying. This isn't just a design failure, it's a masterclass in how to destroy a luxury brand's identity overnight. But before I reveal the most damning evidence against Jaguar's new direction, let me take you back to understand what made this brand special in the first place. To understand Jaguar's catastrophic new direction, we need to examine what made the brand special in the first place. Founded in the 1920s as the Swallow Sidecar Company by William Lyons and William Walmsley, the Jaguar name officially emerged with the 1936 SS Jaguar. From day one, Jaguar had a clear identity: sleek, powerful cars that looked expensive but were surprisingly attainable. Lyons' value for money philosophy created cars that exceeded expectations at accessible prices. This approach produced automotive icons like the XK120, the world's fastest production car of its time, the Le Mans-dominating C-Type and D-Type of the 1950s, and the legendary E-Type, a car so beautiful that Enzo Ferrari himself called it the most beautiful car ever made. Jaguar's design language was unmistakable, flowing, organic lines mimicking a predator in motion, creating a sense of speed even at standstill. The long hood, muscular haunches, and distinctive growling face weren't just design elements, they were automotive art. But Jaguar lost its way through multiple ownership changes, from British Leyland to Ford to Tata Motors, each diluting the brand's identity. Recent sales tell the story. Fewer than 9,000 cars sold worldwide in 2023 to 2024 combined. BMW sells more in a single week. Facing this crisis, Tata Motors made a radical decision: discontinue the entire lineup and create an all-new, all-electric Jaguar with completely different design language. The announcement came with a bizarre video featuring dancers but no cars, followed by a simplified logo that looks more like a bathroom fixture brand than a luxury automaker. The internet backlash was immediate and brutal, with even Elon Musk tweeting, "Do you sell cars?" But instead of reconsidering, Jaguar doubled down by unveiling the Type 00 concept, making it clear this wasn't just a rebrand, but the complete destruction of Jaguar as we know it. Jaguar's Type 00 concept unveiling at Miami. Art Week left the automotive world stunned, and not positively. The choice of an art show rather than an automotive venue was telling, as was the focus on totems and brass ingots instead of performance or driving dynamics. Most shocking was Chief Creative Officer Gary McGovern's statement: "Jaguar has no desire to be loved by everybody." A struggling luxury brand essentially announced they don't care if people like their product, adding, "Some will love it, some will hate it. Some may never love it, but we don't care." This isn't bold, it's business suicide. The Type 00 itself betrays everything Jaguar stands for. Its blunt, upright front end contradicts Jaguar's traditionally sleek profile. Instead of the iconic growling grille, we get horizontal strike-through elements. Simple LED headlights create what Jaguar describes as a slightly robotic look, an odd choice for a brand named after nature's most graceful predator. The side profile features massive 23-inch wheels and butterfly doors that scream for attention rather than whispering elegance. Cameras replace side mirrors, hidden behind brass ingots. The rear, perhaps most offensive, has no window, just a flat panel with horizontal lines hiding the taillights, prompting comparisons to an air conditioning unit. Inside, a stone plinth, literally a rock slab, supports the seats, with 3 brass bars dividing the cabin. The minimalist dashboard features hideable screens for a digital detox. Compare this to the F-Type, low, sleek, with flowing lines creating a sense of motion. A predatory stance, muscular haunches, and a driver-focused cockpit. The F-Type feels alive. The Type 00 feels like a refrigerator. While the promised 430-mile range and fast charging are impressive, they're not revolutionary in today's EV market. The real issue is that Jaguar isn't just changing their design language, they're completely abandoning it, throwing away the one thing that made them special, their identity. The Type 00's design catastrophe isn't merely its difference, it's its active rejection of everything that made Jaguar's design special. Traditional Jaguar design is fundamentally organic and flowing, about curves, not angles, about creating motion even at standstill, about surface tension, where light plays across the body to give the car life. Every classic Jaguar, from the E-Type to the XJ6 to the modern F-Type, embodies these principles with flowing hoods, muscular haunches over rear wheels, and bodies tapering rearward like a cat ready to pounce. The Type 00, by contrast, is all hard edges and flat surfaces. No flow, no organic quality. It's static, rigid, lifeless. This isn't merely stylistic. It's a fundamental rejection of Jaguar's design DNA, part of what car designer Frank Stevenson calls the war on beauty in modern design. This trend toward minimalism and simplification across industries has stripped away character and personality, turning buildings into featureless glass boxes, products into anonymous slabs, and cars into the Type 00. What's particularly frustrating is how other luxury brands have transitioned to electric power without abandoning their design heritage. Porsche's Taycan is unmistakably Porsche. Bentley's EV concepts still look like Bentleys. Even Rolls-Royce's Spectre maintains the brand's stately presence while embracing electric power. Car designer Henrik Fisker explains the mistake. When a brand is struggling, sometimes the temptation is to throw everything out and start fresh. But that's almost always a mistake. Your heritage is your greatest asset. Public reaction confirms this error. Social media comments are overwhelmingly negative. This is the most colorful funeral I've ever watched, and this is not Jaguar. It only identifies with one. Even typically diplomatic automotive journalists have been unusually harsh. Car design expert Alex Kirsten called it a refrigerator on wheels. Matt Watson said it looks like it was designed by someone who's never seen a Jaguar before. Design critic Stephen Bailey described it as an exercise in geometric abstraction that has nothing to do with Jaguar's sensuous heritage. Most damning is criticism from within. The Jaguar Enthusiasts Club, representing over 30,000 owners worldwide, stated, "While we understand the need for evolution, we are concerned that this new direction abandons the very essence of what makes a Jaguar a Jaguar. When your most loyal customers tell you you've lost your way, that should be a wake-up call." But Jaguar isn't listening. They're proud of the controversy, which leads us to the most troubling aspect, their business strategy. Jaguar's new direction isn't just a design disaster. It's a business strategy that defies logic. Let's break down why this approach is so risky from a business perspective. First, let's talk about customer alienation. Luxury brands live and die by their loyal customer base. These are people who don't just buy a product. They buy into a lifestyle, an identity, a story. When you radically change that story overnight, you're essentially telling your existing customers, "We don't want you anymore." And Jaguar doesn't have customers to spare. With only 9,000 cars sold in the last 2 years combined, they're already operating on the margins of viability. For context, Porsche sells more 911S in a single quarter than Jaguar sells of its entire lineup in a year. So, who exactly is this new Jaguar for? The company claims they're targeting high net worth individuals who value design and exclusivity. But here's the problem. That market is already saturated with established players who do it better. If you want avant-garde design, you buy a Polestar or a Lucid. If you want luxury, you buy a Mercedes or a Bentley. If you want performance, you buy a Porsche or a Ferrari. If you want quirky British charm, you buy an Aston Martin. What unique value proposition does the new Jaguar offer? Then there's the pricing strategy. Jaguar has announced that their new electric models will start at around £100,000, $130,000. That's more than double the starting price of their current lineup. They're not just changing the product, they're changing the market segment entirely. This is particularly ironic given that William Lyons, Jaguar's founder, built the brand on the principle of value for money. He wanted to create cars that looked like they should cost twice as much as they actually did. The new Jaguar strategy is the exact opposite, creating cars that look controversial at best, at prices that put them in competition with the world's most prestigious brands. And speaking of competition, the luxury EV market is becoming increasingly crowded. By the time Jaguar launches its first new model in late 2025, they'll be competing with new electric offerings from BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, and even Ferrari. All brands with stronger sales, bigger development budgets, and clearer identities. Jaguar is betting £15 billion on this new direction. That's the amount Tata Motors has committed to investing in the brand's electric future. For a company that's been consistently losing money, that's an enormous gamble. The strategy seems to be create controversy, get attention, hope it translates to sales. As Jaguar's chief creative officer admitted, getting attention in today's world is quite difficult. But there's a big difference between attention and positive attention. Just ask Bud Light how their controversial marketing worked out. Even the retail strategy is changing. Jaguar plans to establish new dealerships that will be more premium than before, providing almost the luxury of a Bentley or Rolls-Royce. But building a new dealer network from scratch is enormously expensive and time-consuming, and convincing dealers to invest in a brand with declining sales and an uncertain future will be a hard sell. The most charitable interpretation of Jaguar's strategy is that they're making a clean break with the past to position themselves for a future where traditional automotive values matter less. Perhaps they're betting that the next generation of luxury car buyers won't care about heritage or driving dynamics, but instead about sustainability and digital integration. But even if that's true, and there's plenty of evidence it isn't, why throw away your brand identity in the process? Tesla built a new type of car company without any heritage, and they succeeded because they offered something genuinely new. Jaguar isn't offering anything new, just a different-looking version of what everyone else is already doing. And this isn't the first time Jaguar has faced an identity crisis. In fact, the brand's history is a series of identity crises, each one threatening to destroy what made Jaguar special in the first place. Jaguar's current identity crisis isn't happening in a vacuum. It's the latest chapter in a long history of ownership changes and strategic redirections that have repeatedly threatened the brand's core identity. The troubles began in the 1960s when Jaguar, facing a steel shortage, was forced to merge with the British Motor Corporation, which later became British Leyland. This massive conglomerate included numerous British car brands, and Jaguar was just one small piece of the puzzle. Under British Leyland, Jaguar's quality suffered dramatically. The company was nationalized by the British government in the 1970s, and building luxury sports cars was hardly a priority when the entire British auto industry was on the brink of collapse.
Here's the thing. Ford's been pushing these high-margin trucks like there's no tomorrow. They've shifted their whole production line to focus on these big, expensive vehicles, but guess what? The average person can't afford them. It's like Ford forgot that most people aren't millionaires. Check this out. The cheapest F-150 starts at nearly $37,000. That's more than some folks make in a year, and it gets crazier. The high-end models, they're pushing $80,000 for a truck. It's no wonder sales are plummeting. But here's where it gets really wild. While Ford's churning out these expensive trucks, people are actually looking for smaller, more affordable cars. Subcompact crossover sales are up 20%. Compact cars? Up 18%. People want cars they can afford, not trucks that cost as much as a small house. Look at what's happening. Dealers are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They've got lots full of trucks they can't sell, and they can't get their hands on the affordable cars people actually want. One dealer put it bluntly, "You cannot find one affordable four-door sedan. They're pushing all their production to these big, high-margin trucks." It's like Ford's playing a game of chicken with the market, and the dealers are caught in the middle. They're the ones who have to face angry customers every day, trying to explain why there's nothing on the lot under $30,000. Here's the kicker. While Ford's focusing on these expensive trucks, their overall sales are taking a nosedive. Truck sales are down 4%. That might not sound like much, but for a company that relies on truck sales for nearly 40% of their business, it's a big deal. So, what does this mean for Ford dealers? It's not pretty. Many of them are in crisis mode. They're stuck with an inventory they can't move, they're missing out on sales of affordable cars, and they're watching their profits disappear faster than free donuts at a police station. But it gets worse. If things don't change soon, we might start seeing Ford dealerships closing up shop. It's simple math. If you can't sell cars, you can't stay in business. And right now, these dealers are struggling to sell anything. Here's the bottom line. Ford's strategy is backfiring big time. They bet on expensive trucks, but the market's moving in the opposite direction. People want affordable cars, and Ford's not delivering. It's a recipe for disaster, and the dealers are the ones feeling the heat. There's a way out of this mess for Ford, but it's not what they want to hear. The solution is staring them right in the face, yet it feels like trying to turn a battleship in a bathtub. What's the fix? It's simple. Ford needs to go back to making affordable cars. Look at this. People are screaming for economical models. They want cars they can actually afford, not trucks that cost as much as a house. But here's the thing. Ford's gotten used to those big profit margins on expensive trucks. They're like a kid who's had too much candy. They don't want to give it up. Look, folks, the auto market's in for a wild ride, and you need to stay sharp. These changes we're seeing, they're not just numbers on a screen. They could hit your wallet hard. Here's the deal. Next time you're at a dealership, don't just nod along. Ask tough questions. Why aren't there more affordable options? Where are the budget-friendly sedans? Remember, you're the...
Scenario 1. Complete failure. In this outcome, Jaguar's radical departure from its heritage alienates existing customers without attracting enough new ones. The high price point puts it in direct competition with established luxury EV makers, and without a clear value proposition, sales never materialize. After burning through Tata's £15 billion investment, the brand is either shuttered entirely or sold off to become another footnote in automotive history, joining Saab, Plymouth, and Pontiac in the graveyard of once great car brands. The warning signs for this scenario are already visible. The overwhelmingly negative reaction to both the rebrand and the Type 00 concept suggests that Jaguar has misjudged the market. Luxury buyers are typically conservative. They want evolution, not revolution. And they certainly don't want to spend £100,000 on a car that makes them explain, "No, it's actually a Jaguar," every time someone asks what they're driving. Scenario 2. Niche success. In this more optimistic outcome, Jaguar finds a small but dedicated audience for its new direction. The brand becomes ultra-exclusive, selling perhaps a few thousand cars annually to wealthy individuals who value its distinctive design and rarity. Jaguar essentially becomes what Maybach is to Mercedes, a super premium sub-brand with limited volume but high margins. This might be sustainable, but it would represent a fundamental change in what Jaguar is. Remember, William Lyons built Jaguar on the principle of attainable luxury, cars that looked expensive but weren't. A Jaguar that only the ultra-wealthy can afford isn't really a Jaguar at all. Scenario 3. Design evolution. In this scenario, Jaguar recognizes the backlash and adjusts course before the production version launches. The basic architecture of the Type 00 remains, but the design is softened to incorporate more traditional Jaguar elements. The sharp edges are rounded, the front end is made more distinctive, and some connection to Jaguar's heritage is restored. There are precedents for this. BMW faced massive backlash over its controversial designs in the early 2000s. Remember the Bengal butt? And again with its massive grills in recent years. In both cases, the company eventually moderated its approach without completely abandoning its new direction. Of these three scenarios, the third seems most likely and most desirable. Jaguar needs to evolve, but evolution doesn't mean abandoning everything that came before. It means adapting core principles to new realities. What should Jaguar have done instead? They could have created an electric vehicle that honored their heritage while embracing the future. Imagine an electric sports car with the flowing lines of an E-Type but the performance of a Tesla. Or a luxury sedan that combined the stately presence of an XJ with cutting-edge electric technology. Other brands have managed this balance. The Porsche Taycan is unmistakably a Porsche despite being electric. The Ford Mustang Mach-E, controversial as it was, still incorporates clear Mustang design cues. Even the radical Cybertruck is recognizably Tesla in its approach to minimalism and technology. The fundamental mistake Jaguar has made is confusing the medium with the message. Yes, the automotive world is changing. Internal combustion is giving way to electric power. Digital interfaces are replacing analog controls. But a brand's core values should transcend these technological shifts. Jaguar has always stood for a combination of grace, pace, and space. Beautiful cars that perform well and offer luxury. Nothing about electric power prevents them from continuing to embody these values. The irony is that by trying to be forward-looking, Jaguar has actually taken a step backward. The Type 00's brutalist design isn't futuristic. It's a throwback to the architectural movements of the 1950s and 60s. True innovation would mean finding a way to translate Jaguar's timeless values into a contemporary context. I want to hear what you think about Jaguar's new direction. Is this bold innovation or brand suicide? Could you see yourself buying the production version of the Type 00, or has Jaguar lost you as a potential customer?